Egld or Elrond may have just ended a long corrective movement and is likely preparing for a new parabolic move. This and more I will explain to you in today's video, and I will also give you the exact confirmation points that you need to look for in order to call the end of the bear market. So make sure to watch till the end. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is King, your host, and as always, today's video is for educational purposes only. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. And if it's your first time in the channel and you happen to enjoy my videos, then please make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. Also share the video if you think it's worth sharing. If you want to give more support to the channel, click the join button below to become a member and enjoy exclusive educational videos and members only live streams. Now let's go and look at the charts. If we look at this structure on a regular scale, we will see that the price is still trending up despite the big drops in the market. I know that someone out there might be saying, like, how come you say this is trending up while it had so much loss in value? Well, yes, this structure is in an uptrend, and the fact that it had these big spikes and drops, this is the nature of the crypto market, and it's very common to see these kind of movements. But if you take a look at the structure from the beginning, from where it started, you can see that this was the initial low it has formed, and then it has went to form the first high in April of 2021, and the price then formed a higher low in July of 21, and then it went to form its all-time high in November and December of last year. And even after this big drop here, the price is still on a higher low basis. So this is a basic uptrend and the price is still going up. Now if we put all this aside and draw a trend line for this structure from the beginning, from where it started, we'll see that the price is still respecting its trend line and it's bouncing off it every time it comes back for a retest. And as you can see, this trend line is also trending up. All the information I just mentioned are supposed to mean two things. The first thing is that Elrond is still in an uptrend. The second thing is that we do still have a healthy structure. But most importantly, this structure is incomplete yet. And this would mean that we will likely have an additional upside and achieve more gains in this structure. But we will first need to confirm that this last pullback is complete and we are done with the overall correction. So let's go to the daily chart and dive into this. Now there are two ways to look at the current daily chart that we have. The first way is to look at each one of those pieces that we have here as an independent waves. In result, this would mean that we have a 5-wave structure that started here, and this is how it's going to look like. 4 out of those 5 waves are already in play and 3 of them are already considered as complete. This means that once wave 4 here is confirmed to be complete, we'll get one last impulse that should ideally go and break the previous all-time high of $500+ and end the overall structure. Now I'm telling you about this scenario here because it's a possibility and a lot of technical analysts would prefer to see it this way. Some people would also argue that the overall structure has ended right here at this point and that we are now in the middle of a very long-term correction. As for me, I won't look at it as a 5-wave structure or even as a complete structure. And this is my justification. In the majority of 5-wave structures, we will never see the 4th wave, or this one that's being formed right now, go below the end of the first wave. So if we draw the pattern, this was 1, this was 2, this was 3, and now we're in the middle of the 4th wave. So the fact that we went below the top of the first wave, this will invalidate the whole scenario of the 5-wave structure to me. And I would have considered that only if the price came to this point and then continued going up from here. Now the other scenario that suggests that this is a three-wave structure that was already complete right here at this point. Now I can tell you that this scenario here is a possibility, but it's highly unlikely because we don't have any divergence between the first impulse of this structure and the second impulse. In other words, the purchasing power and the bullish momentum is still strong, and in 90% of those cases, this would suggest an additional last wave up. Now my own view says that this structure over here is divided into two parts so far. The first part was the initial bull run of Egld that started right after it was launched and lasted until April of 2021. I would consider this piece here as the first impulse of this structure. The second part is a long-term correction that started in April of 2021 after the end of the initial impulse, and it's still going on until this day. In this second part, I will consider these three waves combined as the second part of the bigger structure. Now this will justify these big pullbacks here and here. It will also explain my own view and forecast of this structure, where I consider this to be a three-wave structure with a complicated three-wave correction in the middle. So the final structure would look like this: 1, 2, and 3. Now in our case here, we already do have 1, and we have the complicated correction in the center, and this means that we should expect one more impulse to the upside in order to complete the overall structure. And this will happen when we can say that this correction in the center, the three-wave correction, has ended. So let's now take a look at this correction and try to explain it to see when it could end. But before we start, I just need to answer a question that I have been asked a lot. And this question is why it's so important to analyze and understand the correction. The answer is simple. When you understand the correction and forecast its end, then you will to a very far extent be able to predict the next bull run start. This will not only give you an edge in the market, but it will also allow you to ride these bull runs right from their beginnings and achieve decent gains along the way. So let's get started. Now here we have two scenarios, so let's start with the first one. In this overall correction, we had two impulses to the downside and one correction to the upside. This here was the first impulse that was broken into 5 smaller pieces. And this here was the second impulse that was also broken into 5 smaller pieces. In most scenarios, these two impulses of the correction, they tend to mirror each other and create the same kind of pattern. Now my only concern here was that this fourth wave of the second impulse, that's wave X, is a little bit smaller than the fourth wave in the previous impulse. This gave me a little bit of doubt about this structure, and I said to myself that maybe this is not how the structure looks like, and it will instead look like this. This is 1, this is 2, and this whole piece here was number 3, and this is number 4, and this is number 5. Now this suggests that in order for the fifth wave of the structure to be complete, we may expect more downside that's lower than the previous low. Now if this happens, it will be a little bit hard to predict when will this fifth piece of the structure end, because we don't have any clear support areas except for this previous low right here. So if this is the scenario that's going to play out, this fifth wave could break the low and then continue from here to go up, or it could go as low as the previous low before turning back and starting the new uptrend. This was the first scenario, and I do believe that this scenario has way smaller chances than the second scenario that I'll be talking about next. In the second scenario, the big correction should already be complete because, as I said earlier, the 5 waves of this impulse may have just ended right here at this point. What makes me more convinced and positive about this scenario, the structure similarity between this part and this part. So let's highlight this piece here and this piece here. Notice how at the end of the first impulse the price went for an initial run and then came back for a deep pullback before continuing up, forming a small flag and then breaking above the last high. You can see that we have here the same kind of movement where the price has started forming an initial rally, came back for a deep pullback, and now it's moving up again and it is forming what seems to be a small flag. Now if things go well in the coming days or weeks, we should see the price move up from here and break this last high that we had at this point and then move all the way to form a new all-time high higher than the previous one. Now what you guys need to do over here is set 2 alerts around 2 different areas. The first alert must be above this last high that we formed at this point. And the second alert should be below this previous low here. If the price goes above this last high here, the bullish scenario is confirmed and we will be on our way to a new all-time high. However, if the price goes below this previous low here, the bearish scenario will be confirmed and we shall be heading to new lows. Let me know in the comments which one of these 2 scenarios do you support, and if you have any question to ask me about the analysis, also write it down in the comments and let's discuss it together. If you have enjoyed this video and you feel that you benefited from today's analysis, then please make sure to hit the like button and share the video if you think it's worth sharing. This was me, King, and this was it for Egld, and until next time, stay safe and see you later.